Hello, welcome to Talk Wildlife. And today I'm going to be interviewing somebody that, when I saw her website, just completely blew me away, especially because I already knew in advance of her age. And her website just speaks like she's been doing this for years and years and years and years. And that is Alicia, have I said that right? Alicia Hayden. Alicia came to my notice through Barry Madden, who is from the Wing Search blog. And he said, you've got to talk to this young lady because not only is she very talented, which I agree with, but she's also doing a really, really interesting project that is very conservation driven. So I said, right, okay, let's do it. So here we are. So if I get your name wrong and I pronounce it wrong, it's only has to do with my age.
That's okay, don't worry. I get it all the time.
So welcome to Talk Wildlife.
Hi, it's lovely. Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Now we talked a little bit beforehand, and you mentioned that you were from North Yorkshire. So I think the first thing I need to ask you, because your passion is clearly wildlife, it can be seen from your website and from your writing. So tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you first get into wildlife?
Yeah, well, yes, I've grown up in North Yorkshire, and as you say, I've always been interested in wildlife. Both my parents are really interested in the natural world. So we grew up in a really rural area, and all of our sort of, we had dogs, so always going out in nature sort of every day. Spending a lot of time outside as a kid with my sister. And sort of all of our sort of holidays, family holidays, were always within the UK. So just looking at wildlife, like I've got quite a lot of memories from when I was quite small, going to Galloway and looking at the red squirrels. And I think sort of, when you've got parents that are really interested in nature, you kind of can't help but be interested in it too, because you're sort of, you're taken along, and it's just so exciting, right? Like sort of seeing all of these creatures, bird feeders in the garden. I think it was just something that was cultivated from a really young age. And I can't imagine my life I can't imagine not loving it.
Yeah. And I mentioned earlier that, and clearly people can see that, that you're young, you're a student. How old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
Not at all. I'm 22.
22. So 22. Yeah. And anybody that's sort of watching this now can't help but have seen the picture, which I'm going to come on to in a minute. But also take note of the menu across the top of that webpage. So we've got your portfolio, which includes a lot of artwork. You've got your artwork, you've got photography, you've got writing, you've got film, and you've then got a blog that's sort of hidden behind the shop there. But so, and I've been through your site, and everything about it is exceptional. Your artwork is great, your photography is great, your film work's good, everything about it is really, really good. So you've clearly got an eye for the creative. And we'll come on to why I'm talking to you about a specific project in a minute. But let's first of all talk about, because it's not very often I get to talk to an award winner. So let's talk about your award-winning piece, which I believe we're looking at there on your homepage.
Yes, yeah. So this is When the Whale Sang, and it's a piece of wildlife artivism that I created in 2020, actually. Towards the end of 2020, and then I entered it in David Shepard Wildlife Foundation's Wildlife Artist of the Year 2021 last year. And because I was 21 then, I'm 22 now, so I was in a sort of the slightly younger category, the human impact category, which is for, I think it's 16 to 22 year olds, and the aim of the category is to encourage people to create pieces which are depicting how humans are impacting the natural world and wildlife. And I sort of created this piece based on a few different things, actually. I mean, it's based on how noise pollution affects cetaceans. And it was sort of because I've been reading, I was doing a summer school with the British Ecological Society during lockdown, all online. And as part of that, I had to write a blog post. And so I did that on noise pollution and cetaceans. And I chose to do it on that because I'd watched a short film by someone who did the masters I'm currently studying. Master in Wildlife Filmmaking at UWE, and she'd produced a film about how noise pollution affected whales. So it's kind of a sort of series of events that sort of took me down this sort of wormhole. And I've been reading all these papers, and I just thought it was a really cool, really interesting area, and something that lots of people weren't talking about, despite the fact it's such a sort of big issue for cetaceans like whales and dolphins. So then I thought I wanted to try and create something in this sort of wildlife artivism style. And so I made this piece, and then I entered it into the competition, and it was such a surprise and an honor, really, to win the category. It was quite special because I was in the middle of my exams when it was the sort of virtual award ceremony, as in literally my finals. So I had the ceremony in the middle of them, essentially. So I had 2 exams. Then the evening was the award ceremony, and then 2 more exams. And I remember I was obviously quite sort of like stressed and emotional, and they said my name and I just burst into tears. So it was good it was virtual because no one could see my reaction. But the piece I made it in biro, and I really liked creating, and I still do, creating really accurate pieces. And the sort of biro helped me kind of create this sort of photographic, I guess, head. And then I wanted to kind of show how noise pollution disorientates them, and it's fragmenting their song, but it's also affecting their sort of lives. And so that's why it sort of fragments into this increasingly distorted, increasingly exaggerated noise pollution.
Yeah, and it is a fantastic piece of work, and I can see why it's won an award, because not only is it different, but artistically, if you actually look at the head, it's outstanding. It's really well done. And you say you did it with, did you say you did it in pen and ink?
Just biro, actually. So
biro.
So just I think my biro maybe ran out halfway through, but I think it was just one biro, just different ink inside it.
And now it's all coming out. So actually, we're going to draw a full whale, but your biro ran out.
Yes, I hadn't got a choice. I had to scribble for this.
We won't tell the judges. Yeah. It's a class piece of work. It really is very, very nice, and shows obviously you've got this interest in art. But let's talk about sort of your film work. So what is it you're actually studying at the moment?
Yeah, so I'm studying for a master's in wildlife filmmaking at the University of the West of England, UE, which is in Bristol. It's a year course. I started in September, and I'm about halfway through now. Second term. Yeah. Right.
And the reason that Barry put me in touch with you was twofold. Number one, because of what we've just talked about. And number two, because of a project that you're looking to raise funds for at the moment, which when I saw right, okay, yeah, this is great. Yeah, it's for an artist that relates to wildlife, relates to conservation. It's outstanding. Yeah, it's great. Then I saw his actual paintings, and again, unbelievable. It's actually a style that I've not really seen before, some of his pictures. And we are going to come on and have a look at a few of them while we talk. But I think to start with, we'll come on to the sort of fundraising bit and what you're doing in a minute. But if you just tell us who this guy is and how you met him or how you came across him and what made you want to do this project.
Yeah, absolutely. So Titch, he's here. He's a wildlife artist based in Zimbabwe, specifically in Victoria Falls. And I met Titch last year because we were both speaking on a panel, an artist panel, run as part of the sort of Data Show for Wildlife Foundation. They were doing a sort of series of talks and workshops related to Wildlife Artists of the Year. And this one was run by Martin Aveling. He's a friend of both of ours, and he invited us both to speak on this panel along with quite a few other sort of really extraordinary wildlife artists. And that was the first time I'd met Titch. I'd sort of seen his work before, and really extraordinary stuff, as he said. And he was on this panel, and he spoke so beautifully, and he's so enthusiastic about creating these pieces about the Big Five and Zimbabwe's wildlife. And I just thought he's got so much sort of going for him. His work is so good, but no one really he's not as well known as he should be, especially sort of outside of Zimbabwe, in the UK and the rest of the world. And so that's kind of how I met Titch, and we sort of kept in touch a bit after the panel. Then I, as part of the masters, I have to produce a film, and I was sort of thinking about, I kind of knew I wanted to do it related to wildlife art, just because it's an area I find so fascinating, and I think it's something that it's so powerful for conservation, but lots of people don't really acknowledge that. And yeah, I was chatting to my supervisor and sort of talking about different artists, and Titch came up, and I suddenly thought, yeah, this is the one I want to. This is the guy whose story I want to tell, because people don't know about him, and yet his work is just on another level.
It is amazing, and I've got another few pictures that I've taken down from his Facebook. So with apologies to him, but I'm sure he won't mind from the point of view that we're promoting what he's doing. So from what I can gather, just a bit, and the thing is, I mean, this style here is just outstanding.
Yeah.
Then you look a bit closer, and you think the detail in that is just incredible.
Mm-hmm.
But before I show you the next few, and because then I will lose it, because the elephant in particular is just fantastic. he raises awareness about the conservation of wildlife in Zimbabwe. He, in particular, the big five.
Yeah.
So what he's doing isn't just, well, he's doing some paintings to sell. He really is raising awareness, and like you said, in country he's quite well known. It's outside of the country that he's not so well known. And one day he'll do a book, and then it'll sell worldwide, and it will become very well known. But you are going to put him on the map. So, but let's, as we talk about how you're going to put him on the map, let's look at that. It's just, it's incredible. I just, his style and how he does it. Now with you, obviously your pen ran out of ink and you did that. I mean, clearly he was running short of paint or something. But I mean, that is just incredible, and I love his style. So yeah. You've decided that you're going to do a film about this. So tell us, first of all, what do you need to do in order to do that film? And that's why you're raising your funds. And also, what's the film? How are you going to position it? What's it going to be about? And as you're doing that, I've got 2 more pictures to show. So as you talk, I might be flicking through, but you carry on.
Yeah. So as the film, I should probably say what it's about first. So the film is going to be about Titch, and it's going to be about his work. And so the plan is to ideally go over to Zimbabwe and film Titch painting probably an elephant in the bush, because he often paints from life, especially elephants, just because there are quite a lot around where he lives. And so the idea is to try and get him sketching and painting one of these elephants in the bush. And he's going to be working on a piece which, one of his pieces that he's doing in his most recent series. And so we're sort of going to be looking at the process of Titch creating them, and sort of talking to him, doing some interviews, talking about why he creates these pieces, what kind of impact he's expecting to have, and sort of discussing the importance of wildlife art in conservation, because often conservation, when you think of conservation, especially in sort of Zimbabwe and on the front lines in Africa and places, you sort of think of rangers and people who are sort of, in the field, but sort of, traditional conservation.
Yeah.
And actually, I think that wildlife art is just as effective and maybe more so, but in a different way, because it's not, it's not as active, but it's a sort of passive form of conservation, because you see these pieces and not only are you thinking, wow, these it shows you what's there, I think, firstly, but also some of the pieces that he's done, not this one, but there was one in David Shepard, one of his finest pieces was a zebra, and in the eye you can see the lions. It's a bit like the one that you had earlier. And his explanation for it was that not only is it reflecting, sort of predation and sort of cycles, ecological cycles in Zimbabwe, it's also reflecting how, in a decade or so, if conservation doesn't sort of improve, if poaching isn't stopped, then zebras could go extinct. And so it's sort of this idea that there's it's a bit like my whale piece, in the fact that he's creating artifice pieces. All of them have an impact, right? But they're often quite subtle, and I think that's really nice. And there's a lot of skill in creating a piece which has a sort of subtle message, because it makes the audience focus on the piece, and you can take as much as you want out of it. And I think that's a really clever thing to be able to do with your work. So yes, the film is going to follow Titch with the aim of sort of drawing recognition to his work and drawing recognition to the wildlife of Zimbabwe and the sort of huge ecological variation over there. And the aim is that the end of the film, hopefully, if we can raise funds, and this is perhaps the biggest thing to raise funds for, is that Titch has never come to the UK before, and we're trying to organise an exhibition in the UK of Titch's work. And so hopefully he'd come to the UK and see his work and talk to some people about it, and that would be the end of the film. And it would show Titch getting sort of, you know, seeing other people react to his work and seeing the sort of legacies he's had sort of in a more international level. And I think that'd be a really, hopefully really powerful, really beautiful and emotional way to end the film. So that's the plan. But obviously, you know, flights and accommodation and permits, they're all expensive, visas, and especially, so we've got myself and my friend, fellow master student Jacob, we're the crew, so we're gonna go out to Zimbabwe and film Titch, and the cameras we use are hired from UE for free because it's part of our masters, but obviously, you know, travel, accommodation, etc., that all is quite expensive. And so I'm sort of trying to raise funds to cover this, because otherwise I can't go, and I really want to be able to and to be able to tell Titch's story with him. And so there are quite a few sort of little donation awards available as well, sort of bits of art, masterclasses with Titch and myself, executive producer credits, posters, that kind of thing. But the extra sort of pitch is the fact that we then not only do we need to raise funds for us to go to Zimbabwe and actually produce the majority of the film, we need to be able to fly Titch to the UK and back to Zimbabwe, and also all of the travel at the moment with COVID, you know, includes PCR tests, and there's extra costs associated with traveling in the age of COVID, which is frustrating from this perspective, but also completely necessary. So yeah, that's the kind of associated costs, and I'm entirely reliant on people's generosity, and even if it's just people sort of, you know, like this, you know, talking about it and hopefully getting people excited about it. I think that's just, you know, that's I'm grateful for that as well. So,
sure, and I mean it deserves to be excited about, because, you know, he is clearly very talented, but it's a talent that he's putting to use for conservation. You know, you're right, there are a lot of artists that have done a lot of conservation. I mean, you mentioned David Shepard probably about 3 or 4 times so far. One of my sort of early childhood heroes, because he goes back that far. But yeah, he's you know, he's clearly doing something that's worthwhile and worth the exposure. So what you're doing is a great thing. You know, it would have been very easy just to go, now I'll stay here and film a rewilding project, or, you know, film the beaver release, or go up and, you know, film white-tailed eagles or something like that. But for you to take a project like this on is highly commendable, and I wish you every success with it. When are you hoping to go?
The very beginning of May, so ideally May the 1st, and for sort of just over a week. And then the exhibition wouldn't be until June, July. But yeah, the sort of the bulk of the filming bit in Zimbabwe, very beginning of May. And
when you say the exhibition that you're trying to get him over here for, whereabouts will that take place in the country? And you might not know exactly where, but where in the country?
So it all depends on a few things. At the moment, we're looking to potentially do it in Bristol, or sort of nearish Bristol. Obviously, that's where I'm currently based. But also, there's quite a few sort of art spaces around here, and it's something that we're sort of looking into, my supervisor and I. But it's a bit up in the air because, you know, David Shepard Wildlife Foundation is based in London, and if they have sort of helped create it, then it might go over there. So it's a little bit. It's probably going to be in either Bristol or London. Hopefully Bristol. But yes.
Right. Excellent. Excellent. Right. Okay. And so you've got a funding, which I'll put a link to. You've got a funding page I'll link to underneath this video. Did I notice that you were doing other things as well to raise funds as well as the page? Do you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, so one of the big things that I'm doing is a sort of additional challenge, which is I'm trying to draw 75 wildlife art postcards depicting wildlife around the world in 75 days. I really do have some that I'm prepared. Right. Very accessible, just by chance. But yeah, so I've got I'm kind of trying to there we go, there's quite a few there. They're all sort of different, all postcard sized, lots of different, there's quite a few birds there, but lots of different species and different styles, different media. And so these are available for people who donate £100. They will automatically get one. Although I'm sending everything once I've produced the film, or at least, flown to Zimbabwe and done quite a lot of the filming. So all the rewards will be fulfilled in a couple of months' time. But so if you donate £100, you're guaranteed to get one. Or if you want to buy one, and you have a specific design you'd like, you can get in touch, because all of my art is now for sale, unless it's not. Unless it's not, but
right, okay, yeah, that was logic, wasn't it? It's all for sale unless it's not.
Most of my art is for sale, unless it's sort of already gone somewhere, or yeah. So if there is a piece that someone wants, then they can again get in touch with me. But yeah, so all of these little cards are sort of an additional challenge, just because it's quite difficult drawing pieces every day, especially sort of trying to fit them alongside work for my master's assessment work, preparation for this. So it's an additional thing, and yeah, it's definitely proving a little bit of a challenge, but it's fun though.
Yeah, I think you're up to it. I've seen your website. So right, okay, well, look, I wish you the best of luck, because it's a great project. It deserves to be seen, and obviously, keep in touch. Let me know how it's going on. And as I say, I'll put the links to the bottom of the funding at the bottom of the page. I'll put a link to the website as well. So for anybody that really wants to see some good art and sort of read some good stuff, it's worth spending some time on this site, because it's really good. I'll put a link now. I found a site, but I don't think it's his site. So if you've got an actual site for him, send me it. What I could find was his Facebook, but send me that and I'll put that there as well. And hopefully, people can go and have a look.
He hasn't got a website. It's just a Facebook and an Instagram. Right. So yeah, you'll have found, I think, will have been the right thing. Yeah,
definitely go and have a look. I mean, these pictures the downloaded, they don't really do it any justice whatsoever. Go and have a look on a good laptop, and they are amazing. So for now, thank you ever so much for your time. Good luck with the project, because I'm sure you won't need luck. I'm sure it's going to go really, really well. So try and pace yourself. A picture a day, that's a little bit whoa. So but thanks for coming, having a chat with us, and stay in touch. I mean, really, keep me informed. When you come back, let's do another piece.
I'd absolutely love to. Thank you so much for inviting me on, because it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you about it.
Thank you very much, and good luck, and I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.
Bye.